Hey, welcome to the Learning Technologies podcast. I'm Thomas Fitzler, instructional designer with the Learning Technologies team.
And I'm Kate Mobley, instructional technologist with the same Learning Technologies team.
So what is our podcast called, Kate?
That's a wonderful question. We don't have a name right now, so we've decided to let AI generate our name for us.
That way, if it's bad, we can blame Copilot instead of ourselves.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I typed in a prompt here. Give me 10 examples for the name of a podcast hosted by the members of the Learning Technologies team at Truman State University, whose mascot is the Bulldogs. The show will focus on the intersection of technology and education. It will feature topics on innovation, teaching, creativity, and ethics. We'll also showcase some exciting ongoing projects around campus, which I guess is kind of a good primer for you guys to know what to expect from our podcast. So let's see what we get. Come on, Copilot. All right. We've got 10 examples here. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And I think that we need to stick with kind of whatever we got from Copilot. We can make some minor adjustments if we want to, but I want to hold ourselves to picking one of these no matter how bad they are.
Okay.
Okay. Teach and Tech with Bulldogs. Bulldog Innovators. EdTech Insights at Truman. Creative Campus Chronicles. Bulldog Bites, Tech and Education. I don't think we can do Bulldog Bites. That's kind of already a thing.
Bulldog Bites.
That's the business Shark Tank thing.
That's right.
Innovate and Educate with Truman Tech. Teaching Tomorrow, the Bulldog Way.
Okay. I kind of like that one.
Okay. Campus Tech Spotlight. That is pretty generic.
Yeah.
Ethics and Innovation in Education. Ooh, this last one's actually pretty good. Bulldog Tech Talks.
Bulldog Tech Talks. I like the sound of it. Sounds good.
You gonna go with that?
Bulldog Tech Talks. Yeah.
Okay. We're going with Bulldog Tech Talks. Welcome to Bulldog Tech Talks, our first episode.
We just can't accidentally say Bulldog TED Talks, but
Yeah, we're not a TED Talk.
Right.
Or Tech Break.
None of us are TED, but that's okay.
True. Speaking of which, we kind of want to talk about the difference between our podcast and the Tech Breaks that we sometimes release too. So how do you kind of envision that being different from each other?
Well, I've thought of these podcasts more of conversational pieces, diving a little bit deeper into the topics that you might touch on in a tech break. And you are the one who records the tech breaks, so I'm sure
Usually.
your
Sometimes
insights
other people
are.
do.
That's true. I'm just used to LTT Thomas from the YouTube. But,
Sure.
And how would you envision the difference between what you were doing with the tech breaks and how we see ourselves having a conversation about the same topics?
So I see the Tech Breaks as kind of how, showing how we do certain things, and these being more of the other questions: who, what, where, why. Did I get them all?
Yeah.
But basically, that's the idea. And that's not a hard and fast rule. There may be some of these where we actually do go over how to do certain things, but I see that being more pedagogically related as opposed to technology related.
Yeah.
But who knows what this will eventually become.
I think it'd be a good opportunity as well just to highlight the people that are involved. Since our tech breaks are usually just our team recording them, but we can have conversations with the people involved in these topics that we want to be digging into. So
Yeah, and we will have some guests today. I'm very excited about that.
This is true.
They'll be talking about the place that we're in right now, which is the Villhard Innovation Lab in Pickler Memorial Library. Right now we're in the podcasting studio. I think as long as this goes well, this is probably where we'll do most of these.
So as long as one of us doesn't burn it down on accident. But,
So this area was built in just about a year ago. It was finished in August of 2023. And we kind of just wanted to use this first episode to just kind of use it as a launching pad, not only for our podcast, but also just to kind of show what this area is capable of. Right now, you can see we're kind of a static image. You've just got the full screen of Kate and I. That's because we don't have a producer in the booth right now. But once we do, once our guests are here later, we'll be able to show a little bit more of what this studio can do and how it can really show you a dynamic podcasting experience. And Kate's been working quite a bit on this recently to really kind of optimize it.
I feel not even kind of close to being a professional at it, but close enough. So
I think you're doing a pretty good job. So hopefully, as time goes on, all of the aspects of this will even improve and
we get more
sound
people involved
better.
in it.
Yeah. So right now, just to kind of give you a primer on how to use this area. If you're interested, we did release a week ago or so a video on how to use the DataVideo board. That's kind of what makes the dynamic aspects of this studio possible. I'll go ahead and show a quick clip of that now, but we'll put a link in the video to the full video as well. So let's roll the footage. So this is the DataVideo board. I know it looks a little complicated, but we'll go through it piece by piece to show it's really not too bad. The first and most visually striking part of the board is the screen. This shows the full camera's view, as well as 4 different customizable boxes labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those boxes are the sources that your single camera can cut to during a broadcast. Obviously, the way that they're currently set in this image would be a bit strange, but don't worry, we can change that in a bit. The next part we want to look at is the channel box, located at the bottom right of the board. You'll once again see a few different sources: 1, 2, 3, 4, and full screen. These each represent a section of the camera that will be broadcast, aka the boxes from the previous image. So obviously full screen will show the widest angle possible for the camera at its given location. The numbered sources are customizable, so you can quickly and cleanly cut to various areas of the board on the fly. Each button could be one of 3 different colors. The bluish-gray buttons are not currently active, but you can cut to them by pressing any of them. This will cause them to turn red, which signifies that they are now broadcasting, meaning that whatever you're streaming or recording to, be it Twitch, YouTube, Screencastify, OBS, or whatever tools you have access to, will now be seeing that channel's view specifically. All right, and these next 2 boxes are even simpler. The zoom box does exactly what you would think, and it zooms in and out on your sources. The buttons next to it decide how exactly fast your zoom goes to give you a little bit more control on that. And finally, the pan tilt joystick will allow you to move your sources around on the main screen. All right, well, that is a basic overview of the main functionality of the DataVideo board. It does have some more functionality that's a little bit more advanced, including the ability to make vertical content, which your students may be interested if they're into making TikToks or anything like that, for content that would be viewed on a phone, more likely. But that's what we're going to go over for now. Wow, what a video, Kay.
What a video that was.
Wow.
We haven't moved, and yet that video has magically played in the midst. And that's because the podcast studio works and works well.
I think we should submit it for some awards.
Yeah, Sundance, I think.
Say the cans.
Yeah.
All right.
Standing ovation will probably get that one.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got some guests today that are going to talk about this area, and let's go ahead and introduce them. Hi, I'm here with Janet Romine, the Dean of Libraries and Museums. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Pretty good. We're excited to get this finally rolling.
Cool.
It's been
Thanks.
in the works for a while. So we were just talking about the Innovation Lab here. And to start off, what is an Innovation Lab to you?
Okay. Well, I think the heart and soul of the Innovation Lab is about collaboration and innovation, and then how to foster that in a technology-rich space. And so what we did as we were developing this concept way back in 2021 was talk about, 3 pieces: the collaboration piece, the design lab piece, and then the multimedia piece, and using that technology. And so we eventually came around to, we have the little design lab area with the Lego wall and the fun play, creative play, experimentation piece. We got multimedia software on it. We have the large digital board where we can zoom in people and the collaborative furniture and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the room we're in now is ending up to be one of the showcase pieces.
Cool. Yeah, the podcasting studio is great.
Yes. So, yes, I think students have really enjoyed using it so far. And we've had lots of events in the space, too, not just in the podcasting room, but in the area, the big, broader collaborative area.
Cool. Can you tell me about some of those events?
Well, one of the highlights is the True Entrepreneur Series. And then they bring in alumni that are entrepreneurs, and they're either here in person or through Zoom in that space. And they talk about their experience at Truman and how they became entrepreneurs and, through creative and innovative thinking, so that's the heart and soul again.
Awesome. That's really cool. So I was looking through our email, and I know that I couldn't remember when we had actually started working on this project, but I saw that back in summer 2021 was when you had first contacted us to get us involved.
Yes. Okay. So that started with the Provost Office and Advancement Office were sponsoring a grant writing initiative. And so there were 4 groups, and one of the groups was to build a concept around an innovation lab in a library, and we were going to and then submit that to the Hearst Foundation. And we were successful in that, and we got the first $100,000 through the Hearst Foundation. And then when we were really starting to then, how do you take the concept that we developed and then make it a reality, we realized, oh, $100,000 doesn't go very far. And that's when the Villhards got involved. So Advancement once again stepped in and talked with Doug and Diane Villhard about this initiative. They are Truman alumni that are really prioritize giving back to the institution where they met and enjoyed and learned and grew. So they have a passion for entrepreneur thinking and innovation. So the Innovation Lab aligned with that. And so they gave a matching gift. So another $100,000. And so then once again, we reached back out to LTT and ITS folks and physical plant, Lori Shook, about, okay, how do you actually build this space? And
I remember that we had somebody from just about every area of the university at that meeting. That was
so when it was boots on the ground, and so that the Hearst Foundation, when we knew we got the award, was 2022, spring of 22. So that summer, and then into the fall of 22 is when we were doing all the planning. Spring of 23 was when we had people actually bringing in and doing the walls. These walls that, the glass walls and things are quite expensive, but and then you had to have physical plan in here with the wiring, the network wiring, and making sure we have outlets and network and all that kind of space. You guys were helping us choose like how to design this room itself, what kind of equipment we needed, and I'm really good at like, oh, that's so cool, like I like the furniture piece, and let's do this and let's do that. But when it gets down to like actual technology, we needed help, and so it was once again a very collaborative experience. And my because I really liked talking with you guys and your ideas about what could go in the space, and then what actually we could afford and fits in the space. So
definitely, and this space is still just constantly evolving. I mean, these chairs are actually a relatively new addition over the last month or so. I know Kate added them.
Yes,
we used to have just a kind of a flat table in here.
Yeah, we started with the table sort of like radio-esque kind of thing, and we realized that probably from lots of inputs, Kate particularly, that podcasting is more, like you said, this conversational thing, and more informal. And so she brought in some furniture and with stuff that we had around the library, and then reimagined the space. And
it's definitely comfier.
Yes, it is comfier. I like it.
So speaking of changes and stuff, I know you and I have referred to this as sort of phase 1 of the Innovation Lab project, with the implication being that more stuff, more features and improvements may be added over who knows how long.
Yes.
Are there any of those upcoming features that you'd like to talk about today?
I think we want to focus back in on this room again, and maybe officially make, this is furniture that's in the library already, but maybe get dedicated furniture for this. We do have realized that there's some sound issues in here, though.
Yes, I'm sure they could probably hear
yes,
right now.
This section of the library, the HVAC system really reverberates, and that's what happens when you put design a space in a place that's already been built. So it looks great and everything, but we do have a few sound issues. So I think working with you guys again to figure out what kind of soundproofing that is pleasing to the eye. Aesthetically pleasing is the word I was trying to say.
Got it.
And then the furniture, and make it easier for setup, people to change the setup and things like that. So I think that's one area, is just, so that's just sort of just improvement. So after a year, we realized there's some things that we need to do. From the original concept, one of the things that we were talking about is, this creative play and things was also immersive learning with VR. And so that's an avenue I think we want to explore. I don't think it's going to actually fit in the actual lab, But, we can think of the library and the first floor of the library as an extension of some of these things. And then with this, when the Kirk building opens, obviously the Center for Academic Excellence will be moving out of the library. And so what can we do with that space? And I know there's a big interest in gaming on campus, so officially through the esports, but also, through the curriculum and teaching, like history folks and classics people are interested in using video and tabletop gaming as learning. And so could we, once again, in the library serving as an interdisciplinary space, create a gaming lounge that might work? And then maybe we could fit in the extension of this lab is into the VR. That's a possibility.
I think that would be something students would definitely enjoy.
So I think that's definitely up on the list. And then once again, we'll probably be reaching out with you guys to create a working group on that. And
Or maybe
see
you
what
already have. Who knows?
we do have a few people lined up. I don't think I've officially called the working group team, but you guys all know you're involved.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, Janet. We appreciate your input. This was really informative, and
Great.
you have a great rest of your Friday.
You too.
Welcome back. We are here with Chrissy Hicks, our research and instruction librarian, to talk about a little bit more about the Innovation Lab. We spoke with Janet Romine mostly about the design and the implementation of the space. So we wanted to talk to you about the way that you're seeing students and people across campus actually using it. So can you give us a few examples of some things you've seen as you walked by and glanced in and seen what students have been using the space for?
Yeah, of course. We've seen a lot of cool uses of this space, actually. We've seen some student clubs just completely take over the entire Innovation Lab space. The board gaming club took over a couple nights to do sort of open houses last semester, which was really fun. We liked having them here. Our STEM students really love it in here because they can take over the little whiteboard, the smartboard, and it gives them a much bigger space to do all of their very complicated equations on.
Sure.
So we see them a lot in here around exam season when they're prepping for that. We had students in here with a bunch of glitter around rush week for the sororities because all the moving tables gave them a lot more space to do their crafts they needed for all their big little stuff. So that was a pain to clean up, but we were glad to give them a space to do that. They needed somewhere to do all their rush week preparations.
Why do you think this space is different from other spaces across the library? Why is it here that students want to gravitate towards, even if they're just here to study?
It's nice because the little door gives you this illusion that you're closed off from the rest of the library. The sunlight in here is really nice during the day, and the modular tables are super easy to move. So if you're in a big group, you can put a bunch of them together and all work together really easily.
Right.
If you're in a small group, you can section yourself off from other people really easily. So it's a much easier to do co-working than it is in other spots of the library where we do have those nice heavy wooden tables. Everyone loves those.
Yeah.
But if you're not in a group of 4 people, they're really awkward to work at. Whereas in this space, you can really have as many people or as few people as you want and figure out how to work with that.
Right. You talked a little bit about the modular tables and the big fancy boards. Can you speak about a few other places within the Innovation Lab that you've seen people be working at? Or, I know we want to talk about our fancy Legos back there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have the Lego lab and sort of the design lab area back there. By there we have that big high table that students love to use. And students, we see them use the Lego lab as sort of a decompressing space. So we see that get a lot of use around midterm and final season when they're pulling their hair out from
Need
just
a break.
yeah, they're just so stressed, and then they just okay, I'm gonna build with Legos for 30 minutes and then go back to my schoolwork. So that's, I think, good for them to have.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with our little design lab area where we just have a bunch of crafting supplies, and we really see spikes in use of that around when they have a lot of assignments to do and they just need to take a break.
Right. Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing to think about is we're often here in the library, students are here to study for exams, to do group work, and the idea that in the same space there's a coexistence of play, and I think that that's really interesting is just this is a space that can kind of encapsulate all of that and allow students to, like you're saying, relax, build Legos instead of studying for things that I'm not as intelligent enough to understand. But I like the idea because I feel like, at least when I worked here as a student, I always just thought of this place Pickler as okay, I'm here to study and focus and work. But I'm glad that this Innovation Lab allows a little bit of I don't know, relaxation, I guess at the same time.
Yeah, we're trying to build more. I mean, yes, we do offer the space to professors, and we do,
Right.
you know, course support, and all of that is very important to us. But being a college student is very stressful,
Yeah.
and we recognize that, and we want the library to be supportive to our students in every way. You know, like holistic support is something that's very important to us.
Right.
So if our students are going to be here till midnight during exam season, then they can't just be working from the time they get here until midnight. That's
Right.
exhausting. They're going to get burnt out. So they need to have some kind of option to take that mini break. And on campus in Kirksville, during exam season, we're the only place that's open. So if
Yeah.
they need to take a short break, it has to be within the confines of this building. We're the ones who have to offer it. So
Right.
we have to build in those options for play, for relaxation within the confines of our space, because they can't go anywhere else for
Right.
it.
Jana talked a little bit about the idea of incorporating some gaming and some expanding upon the already existing board game section. What do you have in mind as sort of future thinking for where the students can play and do and create here in the Innovation Lab?
Yeah, so we are thinking a little bit about more gaming, more video gaming, as well as board gaming. We've already expanded into board gaming. We're thinking about expanding into video gaming. You know, we already have the TVs up, so we're hoping to expand into some, you know, consoles, or maybe even just like opportunities for cables so students can bring their own consoles and plug in, that sort of thing. I think would be really nice. We have plenty of furniture, so just like the opportunity to have like a space that you can reserve to like bring your own Nintendo Switch and just plug in and play if you don't have a space for that.
I would have killed to just be able to bring my Switch to the library and take a study break by playing Mario Kart. That would have been so much fun.
Yeah, so that's one thing we're looking into. And then another thing that I think would be really effective that I've seen at other libraries where I've worked is having a small video game library for people who have consoles, but college students don't have a lot of money. So
Yeah.
you could just check out this video game for 48 hours and then return it instead of having to buy all your own video
Right.
games. I think that would be really effective and really popular with
Yeah,
our students.
I used to rent Wii games at my library back home, and that was really great because you know you don't want to have to pay for a game that you're not going to want to play all the time anyway. So that's a really cool idea. Yeah. So we're also thinking about, as a student, if I wanted to be able to walk in and use either the podcast studio next door, we've got a conferencing area. How would a student go about actually reserving this space in general?
Yeah, so there are two ways you can do it. If you know you want it at a certain time, then you should make a reservation in advance to make sure that it will be available for you. And you can do that by emailing pigler@truman.edu. That's our like official email address, and if you email that email address, then you can make sure that you have the space reserved for you at the time you want it. We also do allow for walk-ins. You can check it out for 2 hours at a time and then renew it if you need it for longer than that, same as any of other locked study spaces. But if somebody has already made a reservation, then you won't be able to use it during that 2-hour block, which is why we recommend people make reservations.
Always the safer bet.
To make sure it's available, but walk-ins are an option if nobody else has reserved it during your time slot.
Okay, well, students, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Just so you know, because it is a busy space. I mean, there are a lot of people here already, and I do see when I walk by outside, I always see around the evening times. I think they must be sorority Greek groups or something. But last time I walked by, it was like 30 people in here, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so if there's one takeaway that you want students to know about the Innovation Lab, what would your pitch, your thing be to them?
I would say don't think of it as just a like official school and study space. Like you can use it for your clubs, you can use it for your like friend groups. Like it is for creativity and for design and for all of those things, but don't feel constrained just to use it for your classes. This is a space we've used for you to be creative and for that design work and for that co-working space in any capacity across, you know, whatever you need to be a college student, not just specifically, do I need this for a class? Can this help me at all in any way as a college student here at Truman? That's what we're here for.
Perfect. Creativity, innovation, kind of in the name.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Chrissy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Kate. Thanks for joining me on this first episode of, what do we call it again?
Bulldog Tech Breaks?
Yeah,
Tech
that's right.
Talks?
Bulldog Tech something.
TED
We'll
Talks,
figure that out
we got it
later.
confused with TED Talks.
You in the future already know what it's called because
Yes.
it's at the top of the video, but, you know, we don't remember that.
It's fine.
Yeah, we're good. So just a quick thing, some of the future things that we may talk about. I think what we want to do next is talk about some of the new summer projects that we had worked on.
Yeah.
as well as maybe do a tour of Kirk building right now as it's under
Exciting.
construction. Yeah.
Do we have to wear hard
hats?
hats?
See that.
You know,
I hope not, because I haven't been.
that's true. Not very
That may
much
explain some things, though.
That's also true. Also true.
All right. And then, other things we want to talk about. If you have any suggestions as well, the audience, I know we want to cover some stuff on AI.
Drop a like, drop a comment.
Yeah. Drop a like, drop a comment, of course. Ring that
Ring
bell.
that
Right?
bell.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, ring that bell. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Kate, and thank you.
Thanks,
We will
Thomas.
see you in a couple weeks.